Field Agronomist Allie with Strategic Account Manager Josh Shofner. Let's talk through, Josh, some hot questions we've been getting around tar spot from our customers. For starters, we observed tar spot last year in some fields locally. We're seeing it again this year. Is this a fluke? Is it here to stay?
Yeah, and I think where we're sitting here today in southeast Minnesota, not a fluke. We saw some really heavy infestation last year that really caught our eye. We saw some pretty significant yield losses last year. Fast forward a year, we're seeing even more aggressive tar spot. We've seen it move west, we've seen it move north. And in most cases, you always got to look at the disease triangle. Environment's going to be the big thing here. This disease overwinters here. We're always going to be planting corn if the environment is right. Big things, cooler, wetter temperatures in the month of August. I think this is a disease we're going to see for many years to come. And hopefully in time, we can find better ways to get around it. But in the near future, this is going to be a disease that's here to stay.
Yeah, so you think about crop rotation, Josh. Do we see it worse in corn on corn acres? What are we seeing in the corn on bean, corn on sod acres? When you talk about corn diseases, yes, we would expect there to be a heavier inoculum load in the corn on corn. I think arguably this year locally, fields that were corn on corn that had a heavy inoculum load and maybe had a more susceptible hybrid last year, we did see tar spot set in earlier and create presence a little more significantly. Now that said, we know that tar spot spores can move by wind when we get those periods of humidity, and so you look at your corn on sod or corn on soybean acres, you can still circulate that inoculum into those fields and we still see areas of significant pressure. So rotation aside, Josh, this is kind of a loaded question, but what do we expect yield impact wise?
Yeah, and we talked about a lot at our winter meetings that this disease can take maybe up to 30-40% yield reductions in really severe cases. As we've traveled around today, we're going to see some fairly significant yield impacts. Is that going to be 20, 30, 40 bushel? That's yet to come, but in some cases I think we're going to see all of that. So the big thing to remember is this disease can be huge reductions in yield, especially you start talking about 250 bushel corn. Even 10, 15, 20% is a huge hit, and I think we'll see all of that here as harvest rolls around.
So yield impact, we know what that can be, but you think of the secondary effects of tar spot, right? This hybrid I'm in, we've reduced the photosynthetic leaf area for quite some time. So this product has taken everything that it has down this stretch to fill that ear. So we know that we've compromised the stalks here, Josh. We were in some fields that had significant tar spot pressure earlier today. Start pushing on these stalks, they're very compromised. So harvestability down this stretch, keep an eye on it. It is going to be a big piece to watch as we get down this stretch. I think those are the scary parts, Josh. How do we manage tar spot moving forward? And number one, you look at, we are a split here between two different products. Hybrid selection is going to be very important. This product we don't have a rating for. The product you're next to, Josh, we do have this scored in our lineup.
Yeah, we do. So this is the Pioneer hybrid that we have scored, and we have this one scored maybe slightly below average. We have a competitive hybrid here that we don't have a score on, and we're still seeing a very significant difference. And again, on one of our weaker hybrids is something that we don't have scored. Be asking your seed supplier for scores, but remember, whatever they give you is only going to be relative to their lineup, and that's the important thing. We don't have an industry standard. Fungicide, Allie, something that comes up a lot. Fungicide is a tool, and the big thing I want to point out here, coverage is a big thing with tar spot. The one thing that has stood out as we look at fungicide applications, they've all helped dramatically. But if you look at ground rig, where we're getting coverage down here to the lower canopy, we are seeing some benefits. The other thing, where you take a good hybrid, score, pair that with our normal fungicide timing at VT to R3, we're not seeing very many cases where we got to come back again. You see some lower tar spot scores. It's taken 2 shots to get it done. So looking forward, number one, get your hybrids right, and that's probably going to minimize the opportunity of maybe having to come back a second time. Please reach out if you got questions, and we'll